Welcome to Joy of Business Radio, hosted by Joy of Business facilitators from around the world, with special shows from Simone Milasas, the founder and creator of Joy of Business. Are you bored or dissatisfied with your work or business? Joy of Business is an invitation to a completely new way of creating. Did you know your business and job can actually be fun and joyful? If what you are currently doing isn't working for you, listen into this show full of pragmatic tools from Access Consciousness, which change everything in business, from money to finance, staff, creativity, productivity, communication, and beyond. Joy of Business Radio, weekly on OMTimes Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Joy of Business Radio. Today, I will be your special guest. I'm Laleh Hancock, and I'm one of the Joy of Business certified facilitators. And with me is one of my friends and also a Joy of Business facilitator. Her name is Devarati Sammon. Hey, Devarati, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing today?
Awesome. I'm so excited actually about our show, kicking off the new year and talking about the 3 common mistakes businesses make in the new year. So I have a feeling, though, Devarati, even though we have 3, we may be sharing a little bit more than just 3 with the listeners. What do you think?
I think so. I think there's quite a few.
Yeah. We've narrowed it down to the top 3 most favorite mistakes that people make. So for you guys who are listening, if this is your first time, one of the beauties of Joy of Business is that we have facilitators all around the world. And we come together to share the tools with you and really to start to look at your business very differently, to start to look at ways that you can grow your business differently too, and from asking a lot of questions. So I'm going to ask my friend here, Devarati. So Devarati, what are one of those mistakes that you actually think businesses make into the new year?
One of the mistakes is not looking back at the past. And not to see what you've done wrong, but to acknowledge what you have done right. And what were your successes last year? And what can you acknowledge? What can you acknowledge that you've done right? What can you acknowledge the capacities that you have in business, and what your business succeeded at?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And can you write some of these down? And just as a starting point, and then acknowledging what you've achieved, that you allow yourself to grow from that, and instead of focusing on what's wrong. But you also allow yourself not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Mm. Sometimes we start a new year, okay, that's done, that's the end of it. It's like, okay, let's start over. But I'd like to first just acknowledge what the successes are, so you can bring those successes with you.
You know, I love the way you share that, because one of the first things most of us learn, either from our parents or from other people in business or some of the best practices, is that when you're starting to look at the strategic plan of the business, or you're looking at what am I going to do into the next coming year, it is that reflection of them always looking at what did we not accomplish this year? What are the things, it's just more from that place of what didn't work, what didn't get accomplished, and all of these things that are more about focusing into the lack or the limitations of what may have not occurred, versus really, like you said, take a minute, acknowledge the year, acknowledge everything you actually created and added into your business, and explore what are different things that you actually would like to add into your business. What if you didn't even look at them this year? What if they weren't even a thought or an idea that even popped for the last year? What are 3 things that you can write down, or 10 things or whatever? I usually say 3 because I think most of us get a little aggressive on how many we want to do, and then we end up doing none of them. So take 3 things. No, 3 things or greater that you actually would like to add to the business, because you also look at the business from an adding, not from where it didn't reach the mark or failed or, came in the lack world. So that's a really fun one for us to open it up with. And I'm curious, Devarati, you've got a couple of different businesses yourself. So maybe we can even share some of the things that we're doing for our business. So what are 3 things or more that you're adding into your businesses this year?
One of the things is I have a Facebook page for my jewelry business, and I noticed people have been looking at it, and I went, okay, so the things I'm adding is to add more pictures of my jewelry and adding them in collections. And kind of saying, what gifts do you want to give yourself? Or what gift do you want to give someone that says, I care about you? So it's kind of like opening it up to that it could be more. And I'm grateful for the likes I've been getting on it, and just saying, okay, what other pictures can I add to those pages? Or what other creations do I want to add to the current lines? And then asking questions, I'm noticing it's opening up for more ideas and more designs to flow to the page to take to the jewelry bench.
I like that, because it is. It's that exploration that also expands our curiosity and expands the creativity of what else we also can add to our businesses.
Yeah, so what do I want to add to the current designs, the current collection, or what other new collection do I want to create this year? And allowing that to show up. It's like, it's okay to create new. It's okay to have change. What are people asking for, sharing for in their lives? What would they like to have as a piece of jewelry to express what's going on in their life? Yeah, so I'm looking at adding to collections and accounting, and just asking questions like, who is ready to do their accounting and their bookkeeping? Some of us like to resist doing that bookkeeping, and how can I make that happen with more ease for people? And how can I make it more fun? And one way is, inviting people to ask themselves is what can I add today to make this fun for me, to make my business fun for me, to make the accounting fun for me? Because in doing the accounting, it's also a way to acknowledge what last year was. And then, okay, from here, where do we go?
I think accounting's gotten a bad rap.
It totally has. But it goes way, way back to people. Some people have issues with math, and it's a point of view that we picked up somewhere that we have an issue with math, or I can't do this. Whatever the capacity is that you're wanting to do, is I can't do this. Well, what if you didn't have that point of view that you can't do math? Math wouldn't be something that you would resist, and if you didn't resist it, then you would do it. Because a lot of us, can handle money. We go to the cash, we give money, we get back. We know we're getting back the money that we're supposed to. Well, that is math, but actually doing the numbers on the paper, we seem to think is different. So whatever decisions we've made that math is hard, that accounting is hard? Are you wanting to revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, and destroy, and create that?
Sure.
And what I just, yes, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pox, choice, boys, and beyond. You know, and some of you have heard that clearing statement before, and others of you haven't. And it's explained more on theclearingstatement.com. But basically, in asking the question, it brings up the energy of the point of where you made those decisions, the point of creation. And the right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pox, shorts, boys, beyond, it's like a magic wand to clear that energy. So that energy, that interesting point of view is no longer running your life. And so you can make choices from this moment. You know, to what else is possible in this moment.
Yeah, you know, when we talk about the accounting, you know, early on in my career, I was exposed to accounting, and I loved math. I was one of the rare children in school. I loved every aspect of business, and accounting was definitely one of them. But it wasn't so much, I would say, what people have figured out is accounting. So I would like to say, like, what if we all have a definition of accounting that doesn't have to be the definition of the accounting for your business? And it was what Devarati was talking about, your point of view. Like, if we're willing to say, okay, yesterday I had the perspective that, you know, I shied away from knowing the numbers because sometimes it was easier to try to be unaware about them. But in reality, today I realize that for me to be able to run my business, or whether it's me running anything in anyone's business, I actually need to arm myself with more information. And although the numbers don't give you all the information, you do need additional information. It's a great place to have information about where the business is, about where the business can actually expand itself to be. And the numbers also can be playful. So the numbers can also be one of your partners in able to have your money grow more money for you. So I'm really wondering if we're willing to explore whatever it is that we've defined the accounting, the finances to be of our business, and just let all of those go, just destroy and create them all. And then explore if I was looking at this from a way that the numbers could be a contribution to my life and to the business, like what other details would the information of the numbers give me? I wonder how the numbers could be a contribution for you and actually help you out instead.
Yeah, and asking that question is like trust where your attention goes. You know, it could be that what area are you kind of selling more? You know, what product is costing you more than what you're selling it for? Or, you know, can I develop another revenue stream here? How else can I expand this particular area out? And whatever doesn't allow that to show up for you, or wherever you think you cannot perceive that, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate that? Right, wrong, good,
Definitely.
bad, POD, POC, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how can you do this with ease? How can you use these numbers to create more? And I like how you said, it's like, let's redefine accounting.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I say define, but not really define it, because that's where we go in the implementation. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Thank you guys for listening to Joy of Business Radio. We're talking on the 3 common mistakes businesses make into the new year. And we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hello, and welcome back to Joy of Business on OMTimes Radio. I'm with Laleh Hancock, and my name is Devarati Angela Sammon. We're both Joy of Business facilitators and your hosts for today. And we're talking about 3 common mistakes businesses make in the new year. Do you have one, Laleh, that you would like to speak to, explore with our listeners?
I do. I actually have a couple. There's one that I actually want to piggyback on the one that you were talking about. I think one of the biggest mistakes a lot of businesses do and limit their businesses from growing is that they look at something that's working in their business, like there's a product that's selling really well or there's service that they're doing well, and they automatically go into the place of, we already have it right, we don't need to change it, we don't need to ask more questions, we're just going to leave it as it is. And what I've found is that there's so many amazing opportunities and possibilities to grow the business if people are willing not to have that mindset. So, like you said, acknowledge everything. The things that worked out, the things that didn't work out, the successes that you had, and know that even if certain things weren't profitable, what did you learn from them? There's still a success, but continue to ask questions. If things are working, okay, what else have we not even considered that could make this product or this service even greater? Would allow us to have a greater reach to our clients? How can we invite even more clients to even be aware of our products and services? But just to stay in continuous question. It's so easy. People want to go to the things that aren't working or what they've defined isn't working and fix those instead of truly exploring what are the ways that we can improve everything and make everything even greater and better.
I so love that question, is what have we not considered? It just so opens up to so much more for me. It's allowing the creation to be beyond my mind. And it's allowing the universe to support me in my creations. Thank you so much for that question.
Yeah, thank you. And, a lot of times our businesses are talking to us on a regular basis, and sometimes we're listening and sometimes we're not listening. So even when things aren't going well, just know there is communication coming from the business. So like even, like you said, it allowed you to explore it from a different place, but include your teams. I'm going to talk a little bit more later about one of the other mistakes most people make around recruiting. But one of the things that I see a lot of times is I work a lot with executives and senior leadership or board of directors, and there's a lot of creative people, there's a lot of brilliant people that come together, have ideas, but one of the biggest mistakes is that they don't include enough people from within the organization to come in with ideas, to look at what's working and make it better, to look at the things that weren't working and make it better, to explore what are things we haven't even considered and could add to the businesses, as you said earlier with your jewelry or with other things, like what are new products that desire to be created? What are new services? What are different ways we can actually do business that we haven't even considered yet? So for me, I would actually add that in as one of our common mistakes, is that decisions are made at one level without having all the information, awareness, and ideas from different levels within the organization.
Imagine how many creative hats come in when you bring other people in the organization in the discussion. And what else can be possible with that?
Yeah, and it's funny, I never realized that's something that was very unique and different about me, and how I do business different is that I've always included people from different places, asked them questions, and not to the degree that I have to do it so much that I can't make decisions a leader does need to make, but the ability to ask and get their awareness and get their ideas so that when you are looking at what you're choosing for the business, that you have, enough information as well. I want to share an example to this. I worked with an organization, they're a not-for-profit in the DC area, and they have 25 different locations within 3 states. And within that, they have multiple services. And one of the things that we really found is that Maryland, DC, and Virginia, all the government agencies required different things for the same particular service. Their reporting was different. Their customer base was different. Everything was different. So they had created these silos between them. They didn't talk. They didn't share any information because they'd already decided we do business different. But when we brought them together and we included the other services that have nothing to do with them, they were able to cross-share what worked in a daycare program for kids that would also work for an adult day program with their caregivers. So even though the programs were different, they were able to cross-share information that talked to the same caregivers. So, I just think sometimes, we're so quick to go into, I'm doing it so different. No one else knows and no one else can help me. But also, how much can you use that to assist each other in creating something even greater?
There's so much of a synergy that happens when we communicate and discover what each other are doing. I just love how it just builds and builds and builds. And we could take that further. It's like, it's also, where have you decided that you have to do it yourself? And are you willing to discern and create that point of view?
Oh,
right,
yes.
Wrong, good, bad, POD/POC, all 9 shorts. Right, wrong, good, bad, POD/POC, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Like,
that was me for a very long time, Devarati.
Pardon?
That was me for a very long time.
Yeah, me too. I just had to do it myself. No one else is doing it, so I'll go do it. When things got done,
really was.
so much more can be created. Like I've discovered, like you're discovering, too. It's like so much more can be created when you include other people in that creative process. You know, and they may come up with additional revenue streams for your business. Wow, wouldn't that be awesome? You know, they have amazing ideas themselves. Or they may be people that help you move your ideas out more. Like who to contact, who to connect with, what actions to take to get a project out there and moving and being successful. I'm so grateful to be able to draw on more talents than just mine. Cool.
Well, and you know, what happens is also, you know, you were talking about revenue streams, right? I think a lot of us, the first place we go with everything is the revenue and what revenue is it generating. Because this is also one of the other, I think, mistakes a lot of businesses make is that they sometimes only look at the numbers of, oh, this one did this much this year, this one didn't do as much, you know, last year and things of that sort. But sometimes certain products, services, whatever it is that you're putting out there is a great generator of information and awareness that may not be your top revenue line product or service. So that's the other piece, is not just looking at the numbers, but really looking at what are the different possibilities that each of the different services, products really create and possibilities for you and your business, and how you can allow them to actually even mushroom into more possibilities. So, you know, once again, one thing about Joy of Business, we're about asking questions.
Yeah, and it's asking, like, for the different revenue streams is how are they contributing to your business and your clients and to the planet. And so they may not be bringing in the amount of, you know, the highest amount of money, the highest amount of revenue, and yet they are a contribution to what you're creating. So also it's like, what can you add to your business to contribute to you, contribute to the business, contribute to the planet. And we are going to commercial.
Break. Yeah.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby.
Goo goo gaga.
Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
Are not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you going to do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan.
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
And get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Joy of Business Radio with your host today, my friend Devarati Sammon, and I'm Laleh Hancock, and we're both Joy of Business certified facilitators. Today we are talking about the 3 most common mistakes businesses make into the new year. And I have to tell you, we've already shared more than 5. So, but we're not done yet. We have more to share. The good news is we've also shared what are ways to actually flip the mistakes so that you're not making the mistakes and actually looking at the possibilities instead. So one of the things that I was thinking about here, Devarati and I were chatting, is, one of the mistakes is usually around hiring. How many businesses have already determined, once again, like we talked about earlier, like what didn't work last year and immediately want to fix it into the new year? But one thing I find with recruiting or hiring people or adding people to the businesses is that most people look at the same way of doing everything, but they expect a different result. So they hire the same types of people once again, hoping it'll work out, or they'll go into the same places to look for the kinds of people they're looking for. And this one I would love, Devarati, and let's chat about it a little bit more, because when I look at bringing people into the business and adding new people, there's looking at what the business actually needs, but it's also about looking at the person that you bring in. They might have some of the skills, but it's also the possibilities and the places that the person's willing to take you in the business that are also part of the play. So anything here you'd like to share, Devarati, about ways to help assist people?
Yeah, like one of the things is with Joy Business, we talk about, having people in your business that are creators and connectors and movers. And the first thing is to determine what your talents are. What does the talents the business currently has? Is it great at generating ideas? Is it great at connecting with people? Is it great at moving the ideas and creations out to your clients? And so whatever is kind of missing in that equation, like if you're great at the creation, then it's good to bring in people that are great at connecting, or great at moving your ideas out. And your connector is someone who's always talking with people. They like to connect people with other people. They can take your ideas and talk to people about them. They're kind of could be your social butterflies in the room. And sometimes some people feel like they're not doing anything, yet they're making amazing connections. Would you like to speak about that, Laleh?
Yeah, this is actually one area that my whole life I was the connector. I am the one who likes to talk, and I like to empower people. So I'm like, oh, you need to get to know this person. But one of the things that I realized with actually the Joy Business book and taking these classes is how much I had not really looked at everything that I am. I am one of those people that is a connector. I am a creator and I am a mover, which we call foundational people. And some people, they're all 3, and some people, we all have aspects of this within us. It just depends on which one do we really enjoy doing and which ones are the ones that we lead with, which ones are the ones that we're predominantly being. And one of the things that I found is my sister's an interior designer, and she could look at an empty, street and be able to build you the most beautiful home with everything from the outside detail to the inside detail. And that's where I had misidentified what a creator was, someone more artistic, more creative from that specific place, until Joy of Business. And I realized how creative I actually am and how I am able to create business opportunities and possibilities in a way that is out of the box and in ways that most people wouldn't even consider them as a possibility. So, when we are looking to add people into the businesses, a lot of times people have no idea what they are. They just know that they did a certain job before, or they're excited about certain things, or they're excited about learning some new things, but they really haven't really explored all the things they can be good at. And I think this is where I see it as one of the mistakes that people make, is they look at their resume and they automatically disqualify people for the job. And what I found is some people that I've found and put in my teams, I would have never hired them if I hired them based on their resume, because most of them didn't have all the skills. But I used to call it I see potential in people. I don't call it that anymore, but it really is now being aware of where are areas that they really enjoy. And when they really enjoy something, they're going to do whatever it takes to figure it out. And then work with them to what are other things they would like to learn, explore, what are things that they can dabble into. And what they will do is surprise themselves to pick up things and really run with them and make them be so expansive that they never would have imagined, because if you looked at their resume, they didn't have that previous experience.
Cool. And it's going, as you're interviewing people, it's also like asking questions, like truth.
Mm-hmm.
Will they be a contribution to my business, and will I be a contribution to them? Creating like a win-win situation. Because if they're winning, they'll contribute even more to you, and you can contribute even more to them. And so where can you create like win-win situations for you and, the people that work in your business, or for you and who you're looking to hire to add to your business?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think what we talked about earlier, what are things you'd like to add to your business for this year and beyond this year? Because, we talk about this year, but we're always looking to create something in the business that could sustain itself and continue to grow within many years to come. So when you start from that question and you are looking at it, then ask, who do I need to add to actually bring this to fruition or to actualize it? What kinds of skills, energies, what kinds of, do I need a creator? Do I need a mover? Do I need a connector? And a lot of times you're going to need all three of those things to do anything that you're doing. And then explore the people that you have. What do you already have in place? And what else could you have them add to the pool of things that they do? And then what else? That's one of my favorite questions, is what else and who else and what possibilities are available we haven't even yet considered, but they're ready to be actualized.
Yeah, awesome question. Yeah, totally.
So,
and
Devarati, we have a couple of minutes left. Is there anything else around hiring or anything else that you'd like to share?
What's come in mind to share is, like, sometimes we tend to create from like what's in front of us. It's like what we see, what we touch, like including our body. And I've discovered that creation comes from inviting the universe to contribute. And one of the ways I do that is to, being aware of my body and then expanding out into the room. Just being aware of the room, the 8 corners of the room. And then expanding out into the size of your city. And expand out to a province. And out to the size of the planet. Out and beyond into the universe. And more, and more, and more. Like 100 times more, 1,000 times more. And then from that space, inviting that space to be part of your creation too. You know, what can be created from being aware of the infinite universe? You know, how can that energy in that space contribute to you and your business? What can you add to your business from that space? It could be what priorities you'd like to choose for your business. What action would you like to take for your business? What are your next steps from an even more creative space than you can ever imagine? What else is possible from this space? For me, just expanding out like that just allows more to be invited, allows more possibilities to show up, allows me to make even more choices from the infinite space, universe, that more can come and play in the business. We are going to another commercial. And we'll see you after that.
Feed your soul with Waves of Consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Welcome back to Joy of Business on OMTimes Radio. I'm with Laleh Hancock, and I'm Devarati Angela Sammon, your Joy of Business facilitator host for today. We are talking about, before the break, about expanding out, and hopefully you have kept that experience of expanding out and being present with that space. Is there anything that you would like to add to that, Laleh?
Well, when I was looking at, what are the 3 common mistakes businesses make into the new year, I think one of them is that we get so wound up and so into the stress and, all the things that we think aren't working, or just into all the areas that could turn into a problem for the year. And the exercise that you did is about expanding your business and including all these other ways the universe can be a contribution to it. But I love the exercise that you did, like on an everyday basis, to actually assist you in the stress that you also have. It's so easy for us to get wound up into everyone else's stories and problems and, why, their businesses aren't working and things of that sort. And when you do start to actually create that space and allow yourself to actually have more space with your body, which is one thing that I always share, is like, it's like with you and your body, expand into that space, into the room, and expand into that city and greater. What you actually do is you realize you don't need to be affected the way everybody else gets affected. We're all going to have different levels of stress. But some of the mistakes people make is actually thinking stress is bad, or that stress is something that they can't do something about. But if you look at it as there's different things that are going to come up in your life, in your business on a regular basis, and it's how you deal with them that actually will either assist you in growing the business, or it's what's going to help you kill the business. So, Devarati, thank you for that exercise, because it's a really great one of also reminding people that there's other ways that we can ask for help. And sometimes it's just asking the universe to remind us that we don't have to be affected by everything else.
Yeah, I love doing that exercise every day, and it just allows more to show up and more space to create, and it reminds me that I'm not doing it myself. This whatever business I'm creating, generating, and moving out to the world, all the universe wants to contribute to it too. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I know many people listening to this show, they might have their own business, but a lot of people don't. They're actually, working in an organization or a company, whether it's a small company or a large company, and they leave their house all happy and jolly and ready to, create a way. And they get to the office, and there they are, surrounded by other people, and immediately fall into I'm going to call it a trap, actually, the distraction trap, and, end up being distracted from what they can actually create and make greater that day, and really get into what's not working. And that's when I actually would welcome you to still remember the space that you were in before you left your house. And what if you could bring that space with you wherever you go, whether it's traffic in your commute to work, or whether it's when things aren't working for your colleagues or your boss, and immediately they want to come and share their problem with you. Because when you are willing to actually be more space than the problem, you're going to have a greater way to have more ideas of turning that problem into actual solutions, into possibilities, into ways of actually growing it, instead of, being distracted by it to where you don't have the creative ideas, and then you're kind of sitting around and being just like everybody else.
Yeah, that is so cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed playing with that space, discovering what I can create from that space. And as if you're noticing that you're kind of, picking up a judgment, or you're stuck on a point of view, just expanding out into that space allows you to see what's in front of you with a more expanded space, more creativity. One of the things I like to use is when I'm noticing I'm playing with judgments is a tool called interesting point of view. I have that point of view. And for me, that diffuses it. And then I get a lightness. And I get more space in my experience also. Yeah. So what will it take for you to live life and to play in business and creation from that space? Yeah. Would you be willing to take that as a kind of a home play of using that to expand that tool like every day? Yeah. It could be in the morning, it could be later on in the day. And what else is possible from that? What more can you create from that? How much more fun can we have in business? How much more fun can we have in doing accounting? How much more fun we can have in creating and connecting and discovering what more we can create? What more revenue streams? What's speaking to us? I discovered too is by playing, in that space is I can hear more what is speaking to me. What my business is saying, try this. I'd like to create this. Call this person. It's time to send your profile out. Just listen.
Mm-hmm. Actually, one of my favorite tools. Yeah, one of my favorite tools every day is just be present with your business and ask it, who or what can I add to you today? And it's not about an answer, but you may be, driving and you're like, oh, I need to go down this street and pick up something. And you think you have to go pick up something, but it's who you might meet when you go there. Or, I need to make a phone call to my aunt. That's my favorite one. I remember a couple of years ago, wait, I don't have time to call my aunt right now. It's not business, But as soon as I listened and actually called her, she was able to help connect me with certain people that I was looking for. And I would have never, if I would have been it's my aunt, I don't have time to call her now, I'll call her later on this evening, it might have not happened. So it really is that the business kind of whispers ideas and information to you. And if you're willing to actually listen to it and follow that energy, it's amazing what different possibilities actually open up in our lives.
Woo-hoo! Let's go out and create an amazing business. They are amazing business.
So, Devarati,
even more.
Thank you for being on the show with me. So you guys are listening to Joy of Business radio show on Radio, and Simone Milicis is the founder. If you have any questions, you can find us at www.accessjoyofbusiness.com. And we have an amazing book club that's been going on. It's free, and you can also on the website accessjoyofbusiness.com/book club. Join us, and every week we're talking about different tools and not only sharing the book, but you get to have different conversations with different facilitators who really share their experiences working with the tools as well. And Devarati and I have classes that also happen around the world. We do them online, we do them in person, as well as the other amazing facilitators. So if you're looking to explore maybe adding more to your life in business and really looking at maybe doing business done different or having some adventures with your business, definitely look on the accessjoyofbusiness.com, and it'll be able to give you some great information. And like I said, we're all around the world, so we tend to cover the whole world.
Thank you so much, Laleh, for being on this call with me, too. It's been a joy and hearing your experiences and laughing together. It's been awesome.
How does it get even better?
Yeah, you get to play even more. It's money follows money follows the party. of joy. So how can you create more joy in your life?
Yeah. So truly, how much more joy could we be adding to our lives, our adventures, and our businesses? And what if all of them together would be able to contribute to our businesses as well? Because business is the adventure of your living anyway.
Sounds awesome.
So, Devarati, I have a question. I know that you're in Canada.
Okay.
And you know, are there business flames or anything in Canada?
Are they what?
Any business flames?
I'm still like catching it.
It's okay.
Are they business what?
I was just slang. You know, like how you all say A?
Oh, okay.
Never mind. It's okay.
I'm not an A kind of a person.
Got it. No worries. Thank you, Radio, for having Joy of Business on. And we are so grateful for all the listeners who listened in today and who have been listening for a long time, as well as the newbies who just joined us. We're so grateful for you. And if you ever have any questions, contact us at accessjoyofbusiness.com. See you guys next week.
Yeah, we love connecting with you. Bye-bye.